Friends, how much we enjoyed the music. In the faith, we have this wonderful phrase, music is ladder of spirit. مرقات روح است. And we should always be happy, all of us, the adult, youth, and our beloved children, they like and enjoyed music. We must always enjoy. You know, the exalted Bab, Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, as well as the beloved of all hearts, Shawqi Effendi, when they revealed their writings, their tablets, they revealed it with the melody of their voice. Beautiful. The way the first night of the revelation of the Bab, the same thing is true with Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, and the beloved Shawqi Effendi. During the lifetime of Baha'u'llah, the friends in Baghdad, they would gather together. I think these stories that I'm going to share tonight would make the children, our children and youth, very happy. When they gathered together, they sang. They had wonderful time. Almost the whole night they sang. They chanted from the thrilling poems of Baha'u'llah. And once in a while, all others repeated, such as Subhanaka ya man huwa hu. And it happened that once they were chanting and they were so happy, Baha'u'llah heard their voice. He joined them. Just imagine, Baha'u'llah joining his believers, and he said, you had a beautiful, wonderful night. I wanted to come and greet you with a bottle of rose water. He anointed them, gave them that, and then he bade that they should continue. During the lifetime of Baha'u'llah, Nabil recited so many beautiful verses, poems. One of them, which makes you very happy, is that he says, snap. How do you say? Can someone do it? جمال یار ظاهر شد بزن بشکن بزن بشکن جمال یار ظاهر شد بزن بشکن بزن بشکن رخ دلدار ظاهر شد بزن بشکن بزن بشکن همان دلدار لاهوتی همان رخسار یاقوتی ز شرق نار ظاهر شد بزن بشکن بزن بشکن. They enjoyed it. Abdul Baha enjoyed when Lua Getzinger, this prominent Baha'i teacher, that the Baha'i world is proud of her as the mother teacher. When she was in the presence of Abdul Baha and had a beautiful voice, Abdul Baha sent her in a night while he sat and listened at the balcony, at the moonlight, and asked her to chant, to sing. And when she did, Abdul Baha enjoyed. Abdul Baha said her voice was like the chanting melody of the voice of nightingale, Bulbul. And the chanting of Bulbul is called Chah-Chahe. Abdul Baha said she had that beautiful chanting, voice of chanting. The beloved Shawqi Effendi liked very much singing and chanting, very much. When he went to England before passing Abdul Baha, he taught the Baha'is in Manchester and other places Baha'i songs in Persian. And now we know what songs he taught them. Sinay haq پر نور و شد عرض مقدس تور و شد. So that this lady, the Baha'is of Manchester, after so many years, they remembered and they wrote for us. We could discover what song of the beloved Guardian taught them. And while he was going to the school in Beirut, and during the summertime, all the students of Beirut used to come to the presence of Abdul Baha, and they stayed there at the place where is now the holy shrine of the Baal. In fact, the same room that Abdul Baha, that the remains of Abdul Baha is buried. And they had their own summer school classes, and also they sang. The beloved Shauqi Effendi was the head of the team of choir, singing in a very dignified way and enjoyed. So that this is wonderful. We didn't have this in the Muslim faith. Now we are enjoying, and our youth should enjoy very much. We enjoy tonight. I was told that tonight is for the parents and the children and youth. We all know how significant is the education and training of our children. Baha'u'llah tells us, blessed is he who in the prime of his youth and the heyday of his life will arise to serve the cause of the Lord, of the beginning of the end, and adorn his heart with his love. The manifestation of such a grace is greater than the creation of heavens and of earth. Blessed are the steadfast, and well is it with those who are firm. Here Baha'u'llah tells us, the pen of glory counseleth everyone regarding the instruction and education of the children. Behold that which the will of God hath revealed upon our arrival in the prison city and recorded in the most holy book. And to every father hath been enjoined the instruction of his son and daughter, and in all that has been laid down in the holy tablet. In the art of reading and writing, and in all that has been laid down in the holy tablet. He that putteth away that which is commanded unto him, the trustees are then to take from him that which is required for their instruction. If he be wealthy, and if not, the matter devolveth upon the house of justice. Verily have we made it a shelter for the poor and needy. He that bringeth up his son, or the son of another, it is as if though he had brought up a son of mine. Education and training our children is even as training children of Baha'u'llah, the son of Baha'u'llah. Upon him rests my glory, my loving kindness, my mercy that have encompassed the world. The beloved Shauqi Effendi tells us, the part of the youth is very great. You have the opportunity to really determine, to exemplify in word and deed the teachings of Baha'u'llah, and to show your generation that the new world order he has brought is a tangible reality in the lives of his followers. He urges you to make up your minds to do great deeds for the faith. The world is tired of words. It wants examples, and it is up to the Baha'i youth to furnish it. Shoghi Effendi urges the Baha'is to become well educated, to acquire skills and professions. He said education had physical, intellectual, spiritual, and ethical aspects. He once wrote of pursuing academic studies with an abiding zeal. Great importance was placed by the guardian on developing moral character, spiritual attributes, and profound knowledge of the faith. What the cause really needs most at present, he wrote through his secretary, is capable teachers, wise, deeply grounded in the faith. Well, the history of the faith in all Baha'i writings, in all Baha'i books, you know the significance of training and education of the children. I think this is one of the most significant things in the cause, that the Baha'i children, wherever they are educated. They know reading and writing. 100%. No community in the world can show that, even in civilized countries. And these are the children who had spiritual and material training, and they have shown such great victories for the faith. All these wonderful souls that we are going to hear tonight, these youths who gave up their lives, they were those who attended the Baha'i schools and had a spiritual training, education. This is very, very important. And this has been followed by the example that Abdul Baha gave to the Baha'is. When the beloved Shoghi Effendi was a little child, and in the arms of Abdul Baha, he took the pen from Abdul Baha in order to write. Abdul Baha told him, it's not yet the time for you to write. You will write in future. And there is a beautiful, beautiful tablet revealed to him. Shoghi mine, it's not the time for you to read and write. I'm paraphrasing. Abdul Baha said, now the time for you is to jump and play, exercise, and to memorize one of the prayers of Baha'u'llah and chant it, that I may hear it. The beloved Shoghi Effendi memorized a prayer of Baha'u'llah, and he started to chant it in a loud voice. The neighbors came to him, to the beloved Shoghi Effendi as a child, and asked him, would you please say, not that loud? The beloved Shoghi Effendi would not listen. They went to the father of the guardian and asked him to give advice that this beautiful child, Shoghi Effendi, say in a low voice. And when his father reached him and conveyed that message, the beloved Shawqi Effendi said, no. Abdul Baha has revealed a tablet in my honor and said, memorize one of the prayers of Baha'u'llah and chant it in a loud voice that I may hear it. I'm doing my best. Once, Miss Barney was in the presence of Abdul Baha and beseeched Abdul Baha to reveal a prayer for the children. Abdul Baha wrote that wonderful prayer. When I was a child, I memorized it. I don't know whether I know it now. I don't expect you to know it. Rabbi, Rabbi, کودکم خورد سآل از پستان عنایت شیرده و در آغوش محبتت بپرور. I'm a baby. Oh my God. The story is that the first one who memorized it and said, amongst all these children, was the beloved Shawqi Effendi. That was the custom in the house of Abdul Baha, and perhaps we should copy all these things. That early in the morning, Abdul Baha would come to the hall. Everybody, including the family and all the children, would come to that hall. Just imagine, in the presence of Abdul Baha. Samovar was there. Abdul Baha liked samovar. And tea was served. The wife of Dr. Zia Baghdadi, Zinat, her name, she sat behind the samovar and served tea. The breakfast consisted, well, not this kind of breakfast that we take in the hotels. It was a kind of continental breakfast. Bread and cheese, and milk, some other things. The children came and sat, and before they had their breakfast, each one would say a prayer. And after all of them said their prayers, the tea was served. This was the way the children were brought up. This was the way that early Baha'is, when they came back from the Holy Land, they tried to copy that in Persia. Before having tea, they had to say their prayers. I emphasize on this. Just now I remember that during one of my pilgrimages to the presence of the beloved Shawqi Effendi, my eldest son, whose daughter and daughters are here, he was a little baby. He could hardly, he started to speak. And he was standing at the door of the pilgrim house. The beloved Shawqi Effendi came, passing, and of course he bowed. He showed a great reverence to the sign of God, the beloved Shawqi Effendi. He turned to me and asked me whether this child, knew prayers by memory. I said, yes, my beloved. The beloved Shawqi Effendi said, in which language? I bowed and I said, in Persian. Then he said, teach him one in Arabic too. The Persian friends know how difficult it is to read Arabic, chant Arabic. Very few people can can say prayers in Arabic correctly, except the children of our beloved pioneers in Arabia. They chant correctly. But the guardian said, let him memorize one in Arabic without knowing the meaning. So that, friends, it's very, very important memorizing from the passages of the creative words of Baha'u'llah, from the writings of exalted Bab, Abdul Baha, and the guardian. This makes an asset for them. All their lives, that will help them. So that when they teach people, they don't need to say, sit down, I go on to bring my prayer book to read from it. They just say it from the writings, from memory. This is very important. So that wherever I go, and when it is scheduled for me to see our beloved children, my grandchildren, wherever, I ask them to memorize from the writings. And I don't leave them until they say, I promise. And I don't know how do they keep their promises. The same thing is true for our youth. We should memorize from the writings. The source of all knowledge is in the words of God. Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, the guardian. We have solution. We have all our problems will be solved through the writings. And this, we should not forget it. Friends, I avoid to speak of myself, but I tell you, I had a very good memory. When I was a child, my father, who is now in the Abha kingdom, would get up early morning and would select from the writings of Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, and the guardian of the Bab, and would sit very politely. The best attire he had, he sat and prayed, chanted, and then he passed it to me, excerpts from those writings to memorize, which I did. And I remember that was before having tea. And I remember every morning I recited from memory, and it took me perhaps 40 days or 2 months until I went back to the first. I had that memory, that kind of memory, and I enjoyed it. Anything I know now is from that time. Well, I don't know how the beloved Shawqi Effendi physically knew this. Because when I was in his presence, he bade me to memorize from the tablets of Ishraqat, the tablets of paradise, of Tarazat, Tajalliyat, to memorize it. And when I went back to Persia, a group of pilgrims came back with a message from the beloved Shawqi Effendi, who advised, let me memorize Suratul Muluk, the tablets to the kings and rulers, which makes a book, which I did. I don't remember all now. And when I grew older and older, he didn't ask me, he didn't tell me to memorize it. So that, friends, this is my advice and experience in training and in education and training the children, giving them a spiritual training. Let them memorize from the writings. I have a story told by one of the beloved hands of the cause who knew a Baha'i who was not active. He forgot, he ignored the cause and became inactive. And when this beloved hand of the cause met him in Germany and noticed that the child, the son of this man who was inactive, was saying some of the prayers from memory, he was astonished. And he asked him, said, "Are you not the same person who were inactive in the faith?" He said, "Yes." "Then how come that now you are teaching your child these passages?" He said, "Let me tell you the truth. When I grew up and when I was married and I had to have a child, something in my ears whispered, 'Remember, your dad, mom, they said their prayers in the morning.' And that moved me to teach and to train, so that this will remain forever with our children, memorizing from the writings." Also, during the fasting months, I never forget the experience I had during the fasting month. With such kind of enthusiasm, we were waiting for the sunset to break our fast. We rose early morning before sunrise to start the fasting. And this, it's as if injected in your blood as a child. That wonderful prayer of fasting, that there is a passage that is repeated by Baha'u'llah. We used to go, we gathered together, and one of the friends with the melody of his voice chanted that prayer, and all others repeated that verse together. These are the things, friends, that out of my experience I thought I should share with you in bringing up the children in the cause. Thanks God, in many places, including Arabia, I could see this in practice. We were invited in someone's house in Kuwait. The moment a little child, maybe less than 2 years old, the moment the voice of prayer, he was praying. Just the moment he heard that voice, he sat with great reverence, crossed arms in the corner of the room, and showed his reverence. This is how they are bringing up their children, and this will remain with them. I don't want to speak about the culture, but since I heard this from the beloved hand of the cause, Mr. Varga, who told me, I repeat it, he is responsible for it, in the Abha kingdom. This wonderful, wonderful man, Mr. Varga, Waliullah Varga, that the beloved Shawqi Effendi, he bade me to write to him, and he said, write to him and appreciate his services in the company of the hands, all the hands. He is chosen. This Mr. Varga, the father of present hand of the cause, Dr. Varga, Waliullah Varga. Abdul Wahab called him. He was in Beirut studying and wanted to send him to Persia in order to protect the Baha'is. He had access to Muhammad Ali Shah, one of the ex-kings of Persia. He went there, and when he was, Abdul Baha dispensed with him and sent him, he always repeated. He said, Abdul Baha told him, Varga, I give you one advice, wasiyat. This is my testament, my will to you. The way they respect, revere, the way they behave themselves as far as reverence is concerned. This is what I heard from him. If there's any doubt, you ask him. Friends, well, the same thing is true in many other places that I went. And of course, these children, I liked very much the way that our dear auxiliary board member, Mr. Bob Harris, said in one of these conferences. He was urging the friends and encouraging them to send their children and never ignore to send them to the Baha'i schools, to the Sunday schools. And what he said, and impressed me, he said, all these martyrs in Persia, who out of their great love for Baha'u'llah, they gave their blood, their lives for the Blessed Beauty, were the children brought up this way in Sunday schools. And that was true. So that you put into practice this, and you'll see the great results. In Baghdad, we had a wonderful family. Now they are living, some of them, the children, in Canada. This great man, who was an auxiliary board member, whose name is Dawood Toeq. His wife has a beautiful voice. And the children are called after the names of the Baha'i calendar. Jamal, Jalal, Kamal. God knows if you could choose the 19 names. And that would not help, would not work. One of the gardeners of the Holy Shrine, Rahmatullah, is now in the Arab Kingdom, a wonderful man from Najafabad. He had many children. And Abdul Baha enjoyed it. At that time, the shrine of the Bab was isolated just in the middle of a rocky mountain. Abdul Baha came to him, and at night, in the evening, he had to count them to see if they were all there. And then Abdul Baha said to him, Rahmatullah, how many children do you want to have? He bowed and he said, my beloved, 19. The master said, it wouldn't work with one wife. He told me that he went to the greatest relief and said, what am I to do now? These children of Dawood Toeq, Jamal, Kamal, Jalal, they were brought up that way. In fact, I tell you, with one of the martyrs, Iskandar Azizi, in their family, they gave 3 martyrs to the faith. And in a big conference, in memory of those martyrs, when they asked him how he became a Baha'i, he said, from the very childhood, we sat and the prominent teachers came to our home and we listened. So we were brought up that way. And that led them to go to the field of martyrdom. These children would sit at their home, and when the prominent teachers spoke about the faith, they listened. It happened that once the father was not at home, and a great mullah came. And when he noticed that Dawood Toeq was not at home, he approached him. He said, well, I'm going to leave because your dad is not here. This little child now is grown up. He has his own children. Jamal said, all right, but I am here. I said, what do you mean? You to speak to me, a great mullah? He said, why not? And then he started to speak to him and to tell him about the faith. During his conversation, he quoted from the Quran. In the Quran, God says, God will soon call you from Darus Salam, the abode of peace. Darus Salam is the title of Baghdad. Every town has a title. And he quoted, he said, according to this verse in the Quran, Baha'u'llah called from Baghdad. And then he said, well, Dar es Salaam was only built 13 years after Muhammad. And this boy, just imagine how Baha'u'llah inspired him. He said, do you think God did not know that? Allah ma kan biyaref? And the man became silent, and that led this great mullah to the faith, so that Baha'u'llah inspired this little child. I heard from Dr. Iman, who is now back on his trip on business from Thailand, and he told us the stories. He said the Minister of Education in Thailand approached the Spiritual Assembly, National Spiritual Assembly, and said that now we discovered science is not enough for man. Man needs a spiritual guidance and training. Would you please send some teachers to the medical school, to our School of Science, to train our teachers the Baha'i way? They asked how many. He said, as many as you can send to tell them about the faith. See how the door of teaching has been opened to the faith. And he said, with tears in their eyes, they couldn't send because they did not have enough man to send. They were thinking and praying to have access to one of the teachers. And now the Minister of Education is asking them, send as many as you can to train our teachers the Baha'i way. This is the way, this is how the world is thirsty for the teachings, for the writings and guidance of Baha'u'llah. Well, you know the story of Ruhollah. Ruhollah, that boy, 12 years old, and this man, this boy, Abdul Baha asked him, he said, Ruhollah, what would you do if Antichrist would appear? You know, they believe Antichrist will come riding on his donkey, and the donkey, the distance between the feet of the donkey is miles. And every hair has a kind of music, bad music, passing every route. Abdul Baha said, what would you do if such Antichrist would come? Ruhollah bowed and said, my beloved, we'll teach him the cause of Baha'u'llah. One of the other things that in Persia, if I speak about Persia, I'm speaking of my own experience. Don't ask about my age. Was that with the prominent Baha'i teachers, of course, those who were trusted, the children, the youth would go to their fireside, as assistants to these people. And you know, the teacher would reflect his spirit to the seeker and to these children. I'm greatly indebted to Janab Fazil Shirazi, not the one who came to this country. He has such a faith in Baha'u'llah. He was so firm, unique. Naim, the greatest poet in this faith, said, if the faith of Fazil would be distributed to the people of the world, each one would have a share. And I had that bounty to go with him to these firesides as his assistant. And I'm so indebted to him. The early believers, these prominent teachers, they knew so many passages from memory. Amongst them, a man who was a very close friend to the beloved hand of the cause, Mr. Samandari, he had the beautiful, beautiful voice. I would say that I haven't seen in the Baha'i faith one to have that melody of voice. He knew the whole epistle to the Son of the World from memory. Can you imagine? I copied him. And he would say when he came to, and when he attended these meetings, then speaking a little, he was moved to say a passage from the tablet of Epistle to the Son of the World. Ya Sheikh, O Sheikh. He would sit with such dignity, with such humility. If someone fired him at that time, he wouldn't feel. His heart was connected to Baha'u'llah. And said a passage from this tablet. And when he concluded, tears in his eyes and in every listener in that meeting. After he finished, any seeker in that meeting, I was eyewitness, declared and became a lover of Baha'u'llah. Another hand of the cause, Mutlaq, who had not education, formal education. He was apprentice. He would come and stand and listen to the melody of the voice of that great man. And started, in order to earn his living, he had to work. Started to study alphabet. By and by, he was self-instructor. And then he copied the way that man chanted from the prayers at that beautiful way. And any time he said the prayer, I never forget the prayers that Mutlaq said with tears running on his face. These are our, what shall we say, our ancestors, these were the assets of the faith. And thanks to Baha'u'llah that now we have amongst the Baha'is and youth their descendants as well as the spiritual descendants of them, American Baha'is in this country. You tell me what time. You know, my watch started not to work today. Yes. What's the time? 9:02. Well, I had, I think, 50 minutes. Is it 50 minutes now? Yes. I was given some advice. They asked me to say to the friends to encourage their children for the service of the cause. You know, the one thing you notice is that you don't want, this is the nature of man, does not like much in his presence to speak and exalt someone else. But if in your presence they praise your children, your son, your daughter, you enjoy it. Am I right? If that is true, in order to have that to praise your children and you be sure about them, let them memorize, let them serve the cause, let them do anything in the cause for Baha'u'llah. Well, I was told that to urge the friends, those who can go to the Holy Land if their services is needed, encourage them to go. Well, we have a draft in the military. Let them go, maybe for a year, less or more, to have experience, to serve Baha'u'llah. And to encourage the families to have their own private conferences in the family and speak about the faith. They shall always remember. They'll copy you. And to teach them, to show them the example of honesty, of all the attributes that Baha'u'llah expects us to do. Friends, I don't want to take your time, much of your time. I have a burning feeling of love for each one of you, the parents, the youth, our beloved children and grandchildren. And this is the cause of Baha'u'llah, the cause that all the prophets envied us. The exalted Bab said, well is it with he who fixes his to the world order of Baha'u'llah. The exalted Bab, in a sense, it tells us that he would not witness physically, but he says, well, it is with those, all of us, who would witness this great day, the day of that the kingdom of Baha'u'llah started to be established in this world. The day that I'll never forget, any time the beloved Shawbi Effendi spoke about this day, he was so thrilled. He said, let the friends pray for that great day. To pray that day, the world order of Baha'u'llah, to come into existence. The Ark of God would sail on Mount Carmel, in the tablet of Carmel. And when he said it, the melody of his voice echoed in all the mountains. Every day he would say, سوف تجري سفينة الله عليك ويظهر أهل البهاء. He always mentioned that. In fact, he framed this tablet of Carmel and sat just in front of that tablet in the pilgrim house. This was his heart desire. And he created it, he brought it into existence in embryonic form, so that the beloved Shawbi Effendi, he fulfilled his heart desire. The house of justice as an embryo was there before he passed on. Else he would not have passed. I tell you, this is my firm belief that the beloved Shawbi Effendi accomplished all his ministry and assignments that he had from the Bab, Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha. And now, friends, he is the happiest of all in the Abha kingdom, in the presence of the Bab, Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, to see that body, the Ark of God, is sailing. And we are receiving our guidance from that body every day. And the prophecies of all the prophets came to pass. Isaiah said, what did he say? I wish I knew from memory. See, this is my fault. I don't know from memory. He said about that great day that in the last day, the mountain of God will be on the top of all mountains, and the people would hasten to go there and pray God. And the Lord will teach us His way. Well, I haven't found it here, but you know, I'm sure that you know, and perhaps the children would memorize this passage. Well, I read this instead of that Abdul Baha said, the holy realities of the conquerors on high yearn in this day, in the most exalted paradise, to return unto this world, so that they may be aided to render some service to the threshold of the Abha beauty. Do we believe it? I read again. Of course we do. The holy realities of the conquerors on high yearn in this day, in the most exalted paradise. They're watching us. They are with us in the spirit, to return unto this world, so that they may be aided to render some service to the threshold of the Abha beauty, and arise to demonstrate their servitude to His sacred threshold. Baha'u'llah, the Father, the promised one of all ages, the whole world and creation spoke about Baha'u'llah. I mentioned this morning, his name is there in all scriptures. In all scriptures, they all praise Baha'u'llah. In every chapter of the Quran, the moment you open your lips to read a chapter, say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, be Baha'u'llah. And it's in the scriptures, written and printed amongst the Muslims. B means Baha'u'llah. Can you imagine? I saw these copies of these Qurans. In every chapter, B means Baha'u'llah. C means Sana'ullah. It means again Baha'u'llah. They all praise Baha'u'llah. And how lucky, how wonderful, what a great blessing that now we are numbered amongst the lovers of Baha'u'llah and have been given this opportunity to serve Him, that the realities on the conquerors on high vie us, and they wish to come back and serve the cause of Baha'u'llah. Ya Baha'u'llah.